Hi, Ukulele Mike here with my very first installment of Jazz Ukulele. I've had many YouTube subscribers and Facebook friends ask me for some tips and advice on Jazz Ukulele, so I thought now is the time to do it. And in doing this and other videos, I will be paying homage to two mentors of mine. One is Glen Rose, an incredible jazz arranger, pianist, ukulele player, guitarist, singer, you name it, he's done it. And if you go on YouTube, you'll find many of his videos. Also, if you go to his website, www.jazzy ukulele.com, you'll find a catalog of materials that you can purchase that are just outstanding. And he's got a very simple approach to jazz ukulele. And he points out that there are just some basic chord forms that once you learn them and just move them up and down the fingerboard to move into different keys, you can play basically any jazz standard you want to play. My other mentor would be Kimo Hussey of Hawaii. And Kimo's got just a wonderful style of interpretation on the ukulele for jazz. And I would refer to YouTube again. You can find many videos of Kimo on YouTube. Currently, he's done a series of videos for Divine ukuleles and guitars. And in those videos, he demonstrates various techniques and different types of ukuleles, talks about the low G and the high G, stringing and whatnot. But the video that I'm referring to in this lesson would be the one called Today. So if you just type in Kimo Hussey Today, that's Today While the Blossoms Still Cling to the Vine, it'll direct you to that YouTube video. I would recommend you look at that first and just listen to what he's doing, and then come back and I'm going to show you the chords that he's using in that intro, that beautiful little intro that he leads into the song. And after I show you those chords, I'm also going to present to you that those are some of the most common chord forms you'll find in all jazz standards. So let's take a look at those chords now. Okay, in jazz ukulele, there are certain chord shapes or forms that once you learn these forms, you can play just about anything. And so as I run through this little intro that Kimo does, I'm going to be running through many of the standard forms for jazz ukulele. He starts off with just simply an F chord. Nothing particularly jazzy about that. But he immediately launches into an E flat diminished, which is the diminished chord at the 2nd fret. That is, the index fingers on the 2nd fret of the 4th string, the middle fingers on the 2nd fret of the 2nd string, the ring fingers on the 3rd fret of the 3rd, and the little pinkies on the 3rd fret of the 1st string. And keep in mind that these diminished chords, since you're covering all the strings, can simply be moved up and down the fingerboard to get different keys. This particular one is E flat diminished. Then he goes into a G minor 7th. You take these two fingers, they're anchor fingers, from that diminished, slide them up 2 frets, and then put these two fingers here on the 3rd fret of the 4th string and the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. Minor 7ths are very jazzy sounding. Diminished, minor 7ths, 9ths, and so forth. Then he goes up to the 7th fret with another diminished chord. And this is a D diminished chord. Then he goes to an F major 7th. Major 7ths are very beautiful sounding, very warm. Bar the 5th fret all the way across. Ring finger goes on the 7th fret of the 1st string. Then go down to the diminished chord at the 4th fret. We have an F diminished here, index fingers on the 4th fret. That's how we assign that as the diminished at the 4th fret. Now the next chord is G minor 7th, which you had earlier in the intro, and you achieve that by leaving these two fingers down and sliding these down to separate them 1 fret each. And then you end on a C 13th. Beautiful chord. You bar the 3rd fret, The middle finger goes on the 4th fret of the 3rd string, and the ring finger goes on the 5th fret of the 2nd string. So there you have it. I'll run through it again. F. Now we go to E flat diminished, G minor 7th, up to D diminished, then to F major 7th, then the F diminished, G minor 7th, and there's your intro. Brings us back to F. Now remember, this intro is suitable for the key of F. You wouldn't use it in other keys, but you can use this intro chord progression for many songs, and it doesn't matter if the song's in 3/4 time or it's in 4/4 time. It will work. And remember, just keep your keep it very rubato, very don't be afraid of leaving some little spaces of air in there. Isn't that pretty? All right, so practice these chords first and then come back and I'll go through some of the fingering of the right hand of what we do with those chords for the intro. Now in practicing these jazz chords, which they have a different feel from your traditional major and minor chords, so a little practice tip I would give to you is take, for instance, that E flat diminished chord and treat it like a scale. Just move it up to the 3rd fret, 4th fret, 5th fret, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and move it back down again. Play it like a scale exercise. Then take your fingers off, bring them back down, and do it again. Ultimately, your goal will be to be comfortable with that chord anywhere on the fingerboard, and also to be comfortable that your fingers will come down naturally to find those strings and frets, that you don't have to hunt and go one finger at a time. You want them to come down at the same time. So that takes daily practice to program the muscle memory for that diminished form. Now the minor 7th form, similar to the diminished, is just that these two fingers are slid back to open up a fret in between. Do the same thing. Run it up and down the fingerboard and do it daily as you practice. The C 13th chord, same thing. And it might not hurt to say the name of the chord. C 13th, C sharp 13th, D 13th, D sharp or E flat 13th, E 13th, F 13th, and so forth. Now, these chords, after time, give yourself a couple of weeks of practice, they will become as familiar as your straight C, A minor, F, and G 7th chords and whatnot. It's just that they're a totally different sound. They exist in a different world. Cool sounds. Now, in playing the intro as Kimo does for the song Today, he's doing it on a tenor ukulele, and I hope you've had a chance to take a look at that on YouTube. Just type in Kimo Hussey Today. Maybe Divine Guitars will help you find it too. I don't know the URL right now for that, the link, but I'm just taking my right hand, just strumming my thumb down, roll the strings broadly, nice harp-like roll. Then there's any number of ways you can do this. Now he goes in 3/4. Time today, while the blossoms still cling to the vine. But here's another song. It's a classic standard in jazz, Missy by Errol Garner, and it would go like this. Look at me, da 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 da. I'll keep that for a later lesson. By the way, if you go to the Glen Rose's website, www.jazzukulele.com, you can get one of his collections of jazz standards that has Misty and Over the Rainbow and all that. So it's a great collection. All right, now I want you to take some time to practice these chords. And what I'm going to do after this little segment is I'm going to get out my baritone ukulele and show you how it sounds with this very same progression. Okay, here I am with my new Oscar Schmidt baritone. It's a CE35, has a cutaway, electric pickup, very sweet, very mellow. Now the thing about the baritone is that it's tuned like the top four strings of the guitar, first, second, third, and fourth string. You can get a GCEA strings in that tuning for it, but I kind of like this low, mellower sound that the typical baritone tuning provides. It's great for jazz, and fantastic for jazz. So what I'd like you to take away from this lesson would be to start working with these jazz forms, and in my next lesson, lesson 2, I'm going to start adding some chords to that. You're going to increase your chord vocabulary, and then we'll start applying them to songs, and you'll see how you can alter the traditional chords into jazz chords. You can modify them and give it a more of a jazz feeling. So there you go for lesson number 1. Jazz ukulele. Enjoy it, have fun, and happy strumming.